Hello, this is a review of the new crime, thriller, drama type thing called Nightcrawler, rated 15 here in the UK, written and directed by Dan Gilroy. This is his first feature film as director. He's written and contributed to a number of films previously, but this is his first film where he's written and directed everything involved. Stars Jake Gyllenhaal as a character called Lewis Bloom. He is, well, the first thing I read about him is he's a creepy loner. That may come across as unfair, but if you watch the film, you'll see it's probably true. So, right off the bat, his character is the film. Before I get into the details of the plot, one major, to an extent, criticism is the fact that we know nothing about this character. The start of the film is his character trying to steal some chain link fence from some fencing near a railway yard. Security comes and tries to stop him. He then takes the fencing and some various other metals to a scrapyard who pays him not a lot because it's all the scrapyard owner knows it's all stolen, and rightly so. He doesn't want to be asking too many questions. So that's what we don't know nothing more about the character than his actions. Throughout the film, we never see the character really, except when he's involved with his work. There's no time. We see him at home, but only in relation to his work. I'll explain more of that as I go on. So his character, he's desperate to earn money, and that's pretty much the only thing we know about him from the first few minutes. Clearly he doesn't have any scruples, and he doesn't mind breaking the law, as he has taken stolen metals to get some money from the scrapyard. After the scrapyard scene, he's driving in his crappy little car past a car crash of some sort, and he stops by and gets out for some reason. It's not clear why. He looks at the car crash, and then he sees a TV van pull up with a cameraman rushing out and getting footage of the crash. He ends up asking the cameraman what's going on, and he finds out about this concept of these freelance cameramen who go around, this is in LA, so they go around LA during the night looking for, well, they're looking for all sorts of crimes that they can get their hands on. They've got police scanners. They turn up to crime scenes, film them, and sell their footage onto the local news to show in a breakfast time. As one of the cameramen tells him, having said that, I can't remember the exact quote, but it's almost, the bloodier the better. That sort of stuff sells. You wouldn't imagine people would want to necessarily watch this bloody, quite gory images at 6 in the morning while they're having their breakfast and reading the paper, but that's what they get. So Gyllenhaal's character, whatever, decides he wants in on this. So he already immediately asks the cameraman if he has a job, like he did earlier at the scrapyard, and the scrapyard said answer was quite funny, and he said he doesn't employ thieves, which makes sense because he stole the scrap. So he doesn't get a job with the cameraman, so he's down on Venice Beach, and he sees someone with a fancy bike just locking it up and going away. So next scene is him with this bike in a pawn shop. And so he pawns the bike. He's trying to get lots of money for it, but then he getting store credit and getting a camcorder. I mean, this is like a really basic camcorder, even in this day. I assume it's set now. It sort of seems it's timeless, but modern technology type thing, I suppose. So he gets a camcorder and a police scanner. So with this, he goes off and takes it into his little car, and he listens to his police scanner at night, finds an incident, and goes and gets some grisly and bloody footage. With this footage, he takes it to one of the local TV channels for their news. Out there, Rene Russo is the local sort of news producer, boss person. I think her title was something like director of news, but she's in charge of dealing with setting up the morning program and getting the headlines and such like. So she takes on the footage. He gets some money. He goes home, and his footage is used in some form on the morning news. He gets a buzz for this and think, wow, I'm doing well, and he then sort of employs / has an intern in the character called Rick, played by Riz Ahmed. So in reality, he's his assistant. He pays him very little, but Rick doesn't have a lot of choice. His job basically is to give him directions as to where to go and listen to the police scanner. The title of the film refers to the cameraman, really. I think Bill Paxton's character says to Jake Gyllenhaal's character about, he's been night crawling for something like 15 years. It's not easy, but it's sort of what they do. So Jake Gyllenhaal's character goes further than the other so-called night crawlers. After he's been doing this for a bit to get the edge, he arrives at one crime scene running late, and so Bill Paxton's character says, "Oh, you've missed it all." But he, when the police aren't looking, sneaks into the house where the crime happened, takes footage there of bullet holes and footage of witnesses talking to police through the sort of window with bullet holes in it. Then it's a sort of shots that people would know not to risk taking, sort of thing. And so he takes these shots. He doesn't seem to care whether it's the right thing to do or not, but he gets these shots, takes them, and they're liked. So he starts to build on this, and leads to a sort of montage of him saving all the clips from the TV onto his computer of different names. And as he gets more successful, Rene Russo's character begins to rely on him for getting the good grisly stuff which they can lead with on the morning news. He starts getting, I don't know how to, arrogant, but not in an arrogant way. He's very he comes across as very unhinged, and for instance he shows no real emotion about any of the incidents he appears at. He's very manipulative in the way that he negotiates with Rene Russo, and basically ends up blackmailing her in a sense to, if she still wants to get the footage that he gives, then he sort of he wants to be paid a lot, and have a relationship with her on his terms, really, in a very unpleasant manner. He doesn't seem to have any ethics that he sort of shows, but it's what he wants, and therefore it happens. Eventually he's quite his character's quite there's nothing really known apart from what we see on the screen at the time. We don't see him outside of what I was talking about earlier, is when he's at home, we see him preparing the footage on his computer that he's seen being used on the TV. Other than that, we never see him. He has no friends or family shown in the film. He's literally just the only people he interacts with are his assistant and the people at the TV station and the police and other cameramen, and that's it really. When people get in his way, he has no qualms about getting them out of his way in quite vicious ways, really. I'm not going to get into details necessarily why, because it does sort of spoil bits which are worth seeing. Eventually, things sort of culminate with him arriving at, both him and his assistant arriving at a crime scene before the police have even got there, because they were in the neighbourhood when they had the call come through. He goes into the house, films 3 dead bodies and showed the shotgun as he's going into the house, and the footage very graphic and bloody, and the police end up getting involved and they've seen the footage on the morning news. He does what he needs to do, gets out, doesn't necessarily mind breaking the law, whether it's the first scene, stealing a bit of thing, or withholding evidence to the police, to bordering on breaking the speed limit, to other things maybe more unpleasant that I won't go into. It's a very weird film, but that's not a bad thing here. It's a good weird. The performances from Gyllenhaal and Rene Russo sort of lift it from just being weird to being weird, engaging, and intriguing. And it's at times you think, I don't know, but keep watching. His character is very unlikable. You don't think, oh, I want him to succeed and become a successful news cameraman selling his footage, but you do want to see what happens to him. Not saying what happens to him is definitely what you would want, or know that from the first shot of the film to the end is how you would have liked it to happen to such an unpleasant character. But at the same time, it's worth watching. Interesting. It's clever and creepy, but it's not horror creepy, it's more the horror of odd people, I suppose. Definitely worth watching, but it's atmospheric, it's clever, but at the same time it wasn't brilliant, and that's not not every film's going to hit that mark, and doesn't mean you shouldn't give certain films a try, and I'm glad to have seen it on some level. Okay, I think that is all I can say on that film, as I realise the last 2 minutes have been faltering waffle to some extent. Now I could go in and think, oh, maybe I should edit this down, but I like to keep in the natural. It's interesting when working on a video like this. I've prepared some notes of what I thought, and obviously I've seen the film earlier today and have a memory, of what I thought of it. But for me, I've prepared notes rather than a full scripted review with sentence after sentence, because in a sense that can limit what you're writing, and let's try and explain. It can limit how you're doing a review, because sometimes you can think of other things that you didn't necessarily think when you were writing the review, to when I suppose this is the audio equivalent of writing the final review in a sense. You do the draft, whether it be a written review to be published on a website, magazine in that style, and then you have the final review. In this context, is recording it, in this format. This is using the Facerig software, where my lip sync is working fairly well at the moment, and the audio has been recorded. It's an interesting process, and there's not a foolproof way of doing it, and it's a learning curve of knowing when to shut up and knowing when to carry on, because you might find something interesting. I had a weird experience with this film, because I planned to... The cinema I normally go to on its website said that they were showing what appeared to be a preview of it last Tuesday, but when I got to the cinema they didn't have any knowledge of that, so I ended up seeing The Book of Life, which hopefully I'll talk about another day. But when you go to the film, going to a film with one film in mind, and you end up seeing a film completely different as The Book of Life is, it can be an odd experience on some level. So getting to this eventually was pleasing to tick that box and see it. There's by no chance do I see every film that comes out in any form, but I sort of wanted to see this. It's had interesting buzz about it. I always take all reviews of pinch of salt, as I suggest you do with this one. No review is fact. This is just my opinion. No opinion is right or wrong, but no opinion is an objective thing either, and I don't think it should be. Okay, thanks for listening, watching this wobbly skeleton mummy zombie type thing, and hopefully I'll be back talking about something else soon. Thanks.